Hi there, I'm Hope with Health to Beauty Nails, and today we are talking all about my essential cannot live without pedicure bits. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's just jump right into it. If my background starts kind of waving in the wind a little bit, it's literally 160 degrees outside, so we have the AC on, so it might cause a little, gentle wind sweatness. So I get asked all the time about what my favorite pedicure bits are and where you can get them. So today we're just gonna do a whole dedicated video to this topic. I have 6 bits that I always have at the ready for every client, and I keep them in a little case just like this, so I can just grab it right before a service and know that I'm ready to go. These are all the bits that I cannot be without, so we'll just go in order of how I would use these in a service. So first is the diamond barrel bit. It has diamond all around the sides as well as on the top, and I use this for shaping the toenails. Once I've gone through and trimmed everything, I will go through and then shape and file with this, so I'm getting the length down a little further and just perfecting the shape. I cannot be without this. I do not like using a regular hand file for the toes just because I find them so tiny and it's hard for me to wield it and separate the toes enough so that I can really get in there and fully shape. This, because it's so small, I can really get in there and do more precision-based work and get right in those little tight spots. So I love this. I will link where I purchased all of these below, but this one is from Nail Master Dallas, and it's diamond and it's great, and they've been holding up really well for me. I use this always for shaping the toenails for every single client. I also use this for shaping my toenail reconstructions as well. You can also use it to get right up against the cuticle area and buff away some of that dead skin. So love it, has so many uses. I have a whole video on how I use this bit, so I'll link that as well. The next bit that I use in service is the Long and Lean from Erica's ATA. This is a newer bit that I've added to my arsenal, but it has quickly become an essential item for me. I absolutely love this bit. Any sort of tapered barrel, diamond barrel, I think is great, but I like this one in particular because it is literally longer and leaner than a typical tapered barrel, and so you can really get into those big toenails a little easier with this. Here is a comparison against another tapered barrel that is extremely fine, just to give you a little bit of a size comparison. But I love this for going through and removing any dead skin, that true cuticle from around the toenails. I butt that flat edge all the way up against the living tissue, and I'm buffing away that excess dead skin. And then you can even take this and go along the side walls as well to remove any dead skin from there. I find this for most folks to be enough exfoliation of that dead skin if they don't have too deep of side walls. I love this. It's really cut down on my time as well. I used to use more of like a thin diamond bit for all of my cuticle work, but this, you get in there, just exfoliate all the way away. I love it. Super great. I also use this sometimes for shaping my toenail reconstructions as well. It's diamond, it's soft. You can use it to even exfoliate a little bit of extra callus around the nails, or if someone has a fissure, you could try this as well. Again, so many uses, and it's diamond, so it's super safe and it's gonna be very gentle. Next is the detail bit from Erica's ATA. This is a very fine, small bit, literally for detailing. I love using this after the Long and Lean. Specifically, I find if there is some little callousing at the free edge of the corner of the toenails, I find that I can't always get all the way in there with the Long and Lean, so I'll go in and use this just to clean that little bit up. So I do the primary amount of exfoliation with the Long and Lean, come in just at that little tip to get any callousing and extra nail skirts or something like that out of there with a detail bit. If someone has deeper sidewalls also, this is the bit that I will go in because it can really fit in those tight areas and fully clean out all that dead skin and any extra callousing. Love this one. It's even skinnier than most small diamond bits like this. So if you're familiar with Erica's, this is the micro taper on the left, so you can see the difference there. Here are a few other similar kinds of bits, and you can see that the detail bit is the thinnest. So that's why I love it. I feel like you can really get in there nice and tight. Then we have a silicone buffing bit. I will say this is a little bit of the wild card. I don't always need to use this on every client, but once I have used the small detail bit, I will use this in a few different ways. If I'm doing gel toes or the client doesn't have a lot of extra dead skin around the nail plate, I will use this on dry skin to buff away any extra dead skin around the cuticle area and just get this nice and smooth. This is a very fine exfoliation type of tool. You can even use this to buff the nail plate very gently. If you were to do a buff and shine, you can use this as the very first step. But I really love this because you can really perfect that cuticle area a little more. You can also use this to do the same thing that I was just talking about, but I will sometimes use some callus softener before I use this. So I will go through all my nail work, I finish up, I use my detail bit, and then I will spray on some callus softener before I lift the feet up to do my callus exfoliation. And then once I'm done with the callus exfoliation, I will bring them back down again and use this bit to remove any of that extra dead skin. And that's a really nice way to use this bit as well. So again, all of these bits have a multitude of uses. It's just the way that you choose to use them and how you choose to use them for each individual client's needs. If someone needs a little extra dead skin exfoliation around their toenails, use the callus softener with this. If they don't need a lot of extra exfoliation around the toenails, you can just use this dry right after all of your toenail work. Moving into callus exfoliation, I will use one of these Mandrel heads with a sand cap. The grit of the sand cap varies depending on what my client needs. If they have thicker callus, of course I will use a coarser grit. If they have minimal callus, I will use something a little higher grit. I always use a sand cap on dry skin because I find that to be the best method for getting a super smooth finish and not tearing or splitting the skin. The skin is less delicate when it's dry, so you can really smooth and exfoliate an appropriate amount with a sand cap. You can get these from Mighty Cool. You can also get them from Nail Master Dallas. And my final step for callus exfoliation is a diamond pedicure bit. This one is from Erica's, but I also have one from LiQWYD. I'm not as particular about my diamond callus bits because I will typically just use them as the final step to smooth. So I will use this after my sandpaper exfoliation just to do a final smooth. You can use this also without callus softener if you prefer. I kind of interchange again on what I feel like my client needs. If my client needs some smoothing as well as some additional final exfoliation, I will use the callus softener, but often I will also just use this dry just to make sure everything is nice and smooth before I apply my lotion. So those are all my absolute essential bits. I wanted to give one honorable mention. I also wanted to shout out this larger diamond barrel from Erica's ATA. This is what I always use to remove gel color from toenails. I find this to be super gentle. I'm less likely to damage a toenail while I'm e-filing it. I have a few different grits. I tend to use the coarse and the extra coarse the most. I always apply my gel base a little thicker so that I'm filing down to that base coat rather than the natural nail. And just to give you an idea too about the difference between this diamond barrel and the one that I talked about in the beginning. So there's a huge size difference, and this one that I use for shaping also has grit on the top. So this is what I will primarily use for shaping of the toenails, whereas the coarse diamond barrel bit, this larger one, is more of like a safety type of bit where it doesn't have any grit on top, and so that you're less likely to abrade a client. So all of these have different purposes, different as well as many. You can mix and match, see what you think for different portions of your pedicure service to see what you prefer. One thing to note about all of these bits is if you have a vacuum e-file that's more of a podiatry e-file, you want to get the bits with the longer shank as opposed to the ones with the shorter shank that are more for your typical e-file. So here is a little bit of the difference for you. So depending on your machine, just make sure that you're trying to get the appropriate shank size just so that it fits the best. So those are all my essential pedicure bits. Let me know if you've tried any of these bits in the comments below, and if you have, if you like them, or if you prefer a different bit for a specific purpose. I will link below where you can purchase all of these bits. They're not affiliate links, they're just places that I personally purchase from, and at this time I have found them to be my personal favorites. One more reminder to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.